So today we're recording testimonies from the guys at Vocational Church, and we're going to start with Matt.
I'm Matt. I grew up in a home in northern Midwest, hard-working family. Everybody worked for a living. We always got together, had parties. Drinking was a common thing. I remember more about my first cigarette than drinking, because drinking was so common back then. And it got so bad that after my second marriage, I thought maybe a geography chain would be good, but it just made me homeless in Virginia and went to jail twice in that state, and it probably saved my life because it gets pretty cold there. And then my mother and my stepfather were getting sick, and I came down here to Florida, but that was just another geographic change, and I went right back out. And I think one of the main things that saved my life was the last time that I was arrested. The cop said, "Do you want to go to jail or do you want to find a bed?" And I think that was where the footprints of Christ came in and brought me from Fort Myers to Tampa and then to Vocational Church. And I'm very grateful for Vocational Church, Bell Shoals, all you people, everybody that I met. And like Paul said, it's not the quantity, it's just being content. Because I've had a lot more, and I've had a lot less. And just being content with life, you know? So, thank you.
All right.
Is that good?
That's good, man. Mr. Scott, come over here. That chair's in my way. All right, there's the cheat sheet. All right, so this is Scott.
Hi, my name's Scott. I grew up in Massachusetts. My family wasn't really religious. We never really went to church on Sundays at all, but I knew I was alcoholic real young. When I was like 16, I loved to drink. Got out of control, then hit drugs, started with like Percocets, and gradually graduated to heroin, and overdosed a bunch of times, and things got really bad, just in and out of jobs, you know, and I had to hit rock bottom to get help, and the Salvation Army saved my life. Last time I overdosed, I just went down. Drugs are just real bad. You never know what you're getting. Found myself in the hospital, and then I knew I had to stop. I was going to die, and what really helped me was just, it's sad, but putting my mother through the worry that she had. She was scared to answer the phone because she was thinking that it was going to be the time. She heard that I was dead, so I had to do something. So I got clean. Then luckily I found out about the Vocational Church, because if I would have went right out after that, I would have went right back with the same people, and I'd probably be dead right now. So I'm very thankful, and you know, it's nice to not be chasing drugs or a high or getting drunk. Right now, it's just getting into the Bible. It's helped a lot of things have helped me with my life and changed my life. So I'm very thankful today to be alive and to be at Vocational Church.
Good, thank you.
All right, buddy.
Kelly, let's use you.
All right.
He's been eager to do this. Yeah. This better be good, buddy.
My name's Kelly. I grew up in Connecticut. I started drinking about 18. I went to church with my family. I was raised Catholic. Once 18 hit, stopped going to church. And the job I started, I was working with guys that were older than me, so I would go out drinking with them. The drinking didn't really get bad until my mid-30s. It got so bad I left my wife. 3 months later, I had lost my mother, came to Florida, thinking that was going to help. I was on the street the first 3 days in Florida, wound up staying at the shelter downtown. Got a job at the casino, started getting back on my feet, and then it just went completely downhill. Drinking took everything I had, but that was just material things that it took. My self-esteem was gone, and the loneliness I felt was, I can't even describe how alone I felt. And then I got to the Salvation Army, and my counselor got me back into the Bible. A lot of people say alcoholism is a disease. For me, I don't think it's a disease. I got away from my religion. Now, being back at being at the Vocational Church, getting back closer to God, that's what's solving my problems. I do go to AA meetings also, but thanks to Doc and getting back into the Bible, that's what's keeping me clean right now. I'm living more by God's rules now, which I never was before. And I think that's what the problem was. I don't think, personally, for me, it's a disease. But, yeah, that's all.
So how you doing work-wise and all that stuff?
Now I've got a career. I just picked up a car a week ago. And as a matter of fact, I was at a doctor's appointment Friday, and the doctor told me her husband, because I told her I was 8 months sober on Friday, and she said that her husband was 30 days sober. So I gave her my phone number, and I told him, told her to tell him he could call me if he wanted to talk to me, and that's something I would never have done a year ago. So yeah, life is good now, very good.
All right, cool. And this is Rocky. See if I get it right.
You did.
All right.
Rocky, I was born and raised here in Sefner. By all intents and purposes, I had a great childhood. I was raised in a two-parent home, Bible-believing, God-fearing home. In fact, I like to say my childhood was terrific. I played sports, and I can't remember a practice or a game where one or both of my parents weren't at. Up to college, I had a football scholarship. And, my dad was a drinker, but I was really exposed to drinking when I got into a fraternity in college. But it wasn't a problem, and it really wasn't a problem for the next 25 years when I was married and had children and traveled around for work. It wasn't until my son had leukemia and I left my wife that began the spiral down the drain. Long story short, I ended up on the street, ended up in and out of jail, and found my way to the Salvation Army, which I decided to give myself at that point to the program and back to God. And I had decisions made that I was going to do something else when I graduated, but at that point, I came and visited Doc in the Vocational Church just to expand my network, not necessarily caring about coming to the house. God had different plans, and he convicted me to come out there, and I've just found a peace and a joy now. My happiness and anger and sadness comes and goes, but now being at the house, being close to God, my joy is what is here to stay. So.
All right, good. Thank you.
All right.
And this is Wayne lumbering up here.
I'm Wayne. I'm from West Virginia originally. I grew up separated parents. My mom was a violent alcoholic, so I was always around the alcohol. My first drink, I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I mean, I off and on drank my entire life. I was a functioning alcoholic for many years. And I went through a separation that just kind of turned it from my after work drinking into waking up in the middle of the night and have to drink so the shakes would go away. It got so bad that I went and, met a person and we were hanging out and I shot up, not heroin, but fentanyl. And I came to with 4 empty containers of Narcan around me. I had died. Went to the Salvation Army where I met my counselor, which got me away from the recovery stuff and into the Bible, which changed everything. Changed the whole game. And then Ray and my counselor knows Doc, and they're like, we got the perfect place for you. Just give it a shot. I go out there. I got some friends out there. Nice people come, speak with us, and it just changed everything. And now I've got a great job that I love going to in the morning. I don't wake up, I got to go to work. I wake up excited. I'm happy. And I'm surrounded by great people. I couldn't ask for more.
All right, thank you. Look. Come on, Cliff. Cliff has many word complex, so be careful here.
Yeah. Okay. My name's Cliff, I grew up here in Hillsborough County. My dad was one of the biggest drug dealers during the 90s in this area. I was exposed to a lifestyle that debauchery doesn't even begin to describe. My first drunk was when I was 6. When I was about 14, my mom was going to leave him. Took me to church. I found Jesus for the first time in my life. That's when everything changed. I knew there was a God, but I had not known the grace and mercy of Jesus Christ. So I didn't have enough pain yet, and I carried that mentality and that attitude into my adult life, which led to 17 arrests, several hospitalizations, and up to the last one, which actually made a chain reaction of events that led me to the Salvation Army. See, I always knew my way. I knew the way, but I didn't know his way. And I had to really just let go and let God. And ultimately, the Salvation Army is when my real surrender moment happened. I stepped into the 12 steps. That was his tool that he used to realign me with the cross. And after that, Doc gave me a second time at his house. He doesn't do that too often. I have 2 small children, but even the kids weren't enough to keep me sober. I took Jesus. For sure.
And today?
Oh, and today's amazing. Today is actually one of the reasons I'm here is to pick up Guy, where I'm moving into a house. I got an awesome car, got a wonderful job. I'm surrounded with accountability. I'm engaged. Zoe is moving into the house. She's been with my parents for about 4 years. I believe that was the last part of restoration because I gave her away twice. DCF took her twice, but I got full custody, and the family's coming together one day at a time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. And this is Shane.
My name's Shane. I grew up in Days City, Florida. I grew up in a 2-parent household, Christian. We always were involved in church. I lived a sheltered life till about the age of 16 or 17. I was introduced to drugs and alcohol, and at that same time I ended up joining the Crip street gang. Well, that pretty much led my life down the road of destruction. So after a prison vacation, I thought that if I changed my environment, that it would change everything that I did. So I ended up moving to Macon, Georgia, where it actually became even worse, and I got involved in even more things. My life got so bad to the point, 9 months ago, me and my cousin ended up ODing and dying. They brought me back to life twice, and my cousin, they couldn't revive him. So then my encounter with Jesus came when I first got to the Salvation Army. And I came to the point that I realized that everything had been going so wrong in my life because I had been running from God. When I started running towards God, everything started becoming better. And I started to not feel like I had such a void in my heart. Then when I met Doc and got to the Vocational Church, now everything's changed tenfold. I'm just at the point where I'm having to learn to have patience. The more patience I have, everything's happening on its own, as long as I trust God. And it helps to trust Doc sometimes too, so that's all I got.
All right, good, thank you, thank you. And this is Ron, a man of many words.
I'm Ron. I grew up in New Jersey. My dad was an alcoholic. He abused me a lot. Me and my mom left him when I was 5. First drink I was about 12 years old, hanging out with friends, and I became a full-blown alcoholic when I was in high school. Got so bad I ended up in jail, on the streets, nowhere to go. I ended up at the Salvation Army where I got God, and I found Vocational Church, and I really found Jesus when I had my talk with Doc at the kitchen table 2 years ago. Since then, my life has gotten a lot better. I'm about to get a driver's license. Ironically,
How long's that been?
20 years, 18 years.
Holy.
I work in a warehouse full of alcohol, and it doesn't bother me. And I'm good. Doing good. I'm just waiting to get that driver's license.
All right. Thank you. Big Kevin.
All right, how you guys doing? My name is Kevin Clark, and I grew up in Boston, Mass. It's I don't really have the stories that everybody got that follows in line of family and friends. I was born in foster care, and it was different. So as soon as I hit 18, I was pretty much on my own, and
Why were you in foster care?
due to family drugs, addiction, junkies, raised by junkies everywhere. So it was I was like a G.I. Joe with a packet, and whatever you got to do, you figure it out. And my life turned into every kind of possible sin that was going on, drugs, money, everything but right. I did not have a chance to get that step into figuring out what was God and what I was in survival mode from day one. So as I turned corners, 30 years sinning, 10 years in jail, steady going to jail, sooner or later I gave up. I tried to get help where I was no help, and how could I figure out how to get help? Never been nowhere, don't know nothing. All I know is what I see. So tried it a couple times here and there, lost at it, ended up in Tampa, Florida. Got help, did the Salvation Army thing, met Doc as a good friend of mine, as a father to me, has led me all the way through this, and I'm here, and my life has changed. I don't seem to get mad as much no more. I seem to don't care about the worldly things and the things that are going on. I deal with them, but I know that if I stay within God's plan and I don't seem to be tempted by what's going on, it's just a walk an everyday thing that I gotta do. So that's where I'm at right now in life. And
You read your Bible very much? How much?
yes, since life has changed for me, I pretty much since the day that Doc baptized me, my life has changed, and I've done more reading than I ever done. Not the best at it, but I've done a lot, and I am in so much of a good, different place, and this walking, man. All this is new to me. None of this, everything doesn't make sense, but it does. So I'm Kevin Clark, and that's it.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
All right, William, come up in the front row, man. Don't go back there. This is with fear and trembling. This is William.
Hey, my name is William, and
You hold that.
I grew up in North Carolina. I was moved to Asheville. I was born at Granville County Hospital. I have 10 sisters and 6 brothers. Big family. I was addicted to fire first. So I got removed from my biological home and went to stay with my uncle, where at 8 years old, he was making moonshine, and I became his test dummy. Until the age of 13, then he died, and then I was pretty well on my own. But he had taught me how to live in the woods, how to knock people out, how to become one of the best racist type dudes I was. And like I always tell Doc before I first came to this house, I wouldn't hang around none of y'all because that's how I was raised. So after that, in and out of jail, back and forth, in and out of mental hospitals, all kind of crazy stuff. In 2019, it was an incident on I-4. I was on top of an 18-wheeler. But I think I was trying to kill myself. I don't know. But I ended up on that road about 5-6 miles down the road. Police jumped on me. I jumped on them. I cussed them out. They cussed me out and all kind of stuff. Ended up in the hospital in a wheelchair. Got in jail. COVID hit. And Coke was the best thing that ever had happened to me. Because I ran into a guy named Tony Nelly in some type of program at the jail. I came in there in a wheelchair. I came to con him so I could get out of jail. It was either go to Tallahassee Mental Hospital or go to this house he kept talking about. I said, if I get there, man, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna get like gingerbread, man. I'm gonna take off. So he take me out there. This dude put me upstairs where I couldn't even hardly walk. I said, man, I'm already don't want to be there because he's white. I said, this dude, I'm having a problem with it. So he started taking me out to eat dinner. You know, I love to eat, y'all can tell that. But he kept using one word that I gravitated toward. Now, pain never, ever in his life bothered me. But the word love, he used it, kept using it, church using it. I use it now. And basically what he did was love the hell out of me. Now, I'm still got a manipulation game going on. I'm still thinking I can get away from this. This dude right here, Eddie Mercer, took me to his house, more food, and he baptized me. And I feel myself changing. So me and Doc go to Dennis and Miss Jeanette, and I feel myself change. And this dude come up to me and say, I heard about you. You off drugs, and it made me want to change. I don't do no crime, but I went back to the house, and then 2 dudes got put out, Sean D'Angelo and Norman. Now I'm thinking they want to go in the street, so I'm thinking this is a good thing. And I said right then, Lord, if you do this, God, I can't do it. I can't do it. I couldn't. I won't cuss no more. I won't punch nobody out. I won't try to get over on nobody or nothing. And from that point on, everywhere I go, I'm trying to find low-hanging fruit. I stay in my word. I don't care if I'm there by myself. And by the way, I just clean the house because I can't really get a job because of my behavior. But I clean the house, cook a little food, and just Doc let me do stuff around now. And it's been a blessing. But I guarantee, if you catch me anywhere, because I told God, I said, look here, I'm yours. I was committed to them demons out there in the street. But if you take all this stuff from me and you replace this word love inside of me, I'm yours. And ever since then, when I put my shoes on in the morning, I ain't got nothing but love for everybody. I don't care how it go down. I don't care how the day go. I don't care if you hit me, cuss me out, whatever. I'm going to reach out with some love. Because if I can serve the devil for about 48, 50 years, I can serve Jesus. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
All right, cool. All right, buddy. Guy, what a guy.
Yes, sir.
My name's Guy. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. I came from basically your basic American family from divorced parents. My first realization of drugs and alcohol came from a small child. My grandfather was an alcoholic. He actually used to take me bar hopping with him as a small child. I spent more times in bars in a young age than I did in normal places, most kids would have done. For me, things got so bad that I've been in and out of jail, living on the streets, lost everything. I was unsuccessful in my first attempt at the Salvation Army. They asked me to leave after 4.5 months, and in 44 days, I lost everything once again, twice as fast, on the streets, and then I came back. And I came back with a different attitude. I came back with an attitude of gratefulness and willingness and wanting to learn how to live a different life. After finishing the program, I came out to Vocational Church with Doc, and before that, I always wanted the idea of baptism and following, Christ. I didn't grow up in a religious family, so I think the attempt and the wantingness and willingness to want to live differently and to want to be baptized is really when I had that moment with Jesus. I used for the simple fact that I was a side effect of my soul being sick. There was just something inside of me that wasn't normal. I just didn't have something going on with me. And then my life since then has been very peaceful. I have a full-time job, and I have restoration back with my family. My family stepped away from me for 3 years, totally turned their back on me. If I got arrested, I couldn't even call their phone number because they blocked the jail number even if I got arrested. So it took their turning themselves away for me to really change my life. And I'm so grateful for how my life has changed, and now that I'm actually able to go to my parents' house and be present, even if it is just mowing their lawn. That's a joy that I can't describe.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, do I have to call your name, or were you? You just wanted to see if I remembered it.
Good morning. My name is Jeff. I grew up in a two-parent home, pretty nice upbringing, pretty stable family life, and we grew up in the Episcopal Church. No stranger to drinking in that congregation. So as I got on to college age, I went off to school, went off to college, and did what most college people do, guys do. They party and did that thing. And little did I know, I had opened the door to a lifetime of alcohol abuse that only got worse and worse. And it eventually got so bad that it cost me jobs, relationships. It cost me everything. And it was, in hindsight now, it was the beginning of God drawing me to Him and taking everything away so that I could only see Him. And I had a praying mother, and she fervently prayed for all of her children, and I know that had a profound effect too. But in the journey, in the alcohol treatment, I went to Salvation Army like many of my brothers here, and I began to really focus on Jesus. They did stress that, and Charles became a teacher on Sunday evenings out there, and he brought the pure Word of God to us every Sunday, and that really opened my eyes to what Jesus was after all along. He just wanted me, and it took removing everything from my life for me to see Him. And then God put on His heart to open up Vocational Church, and I asked to be a candidate, and was brought out when the house was first opened. And the growth there has been tremendous. He's a teacher of the Word like nobody else I've seen. So I just look back on everything now and thank God Almighty and His Son Jesus for rescuing me. We've all been rescued. And growing in Christ while we're at Vocational Church has just been a blessing. And God is blessing each one of us. We've got fabulous jobs, and just you can see the hand of God moving at Vocational Church in an amazing way. So I just thank God.
All right, thank you, Jeff. This will be Gary if he'll get over here.
Hi, my name is Gary. I grew up in a broken home. Parents divorced when I was very young. Grew up with a stepsister and two older sisters. Like Jeff, I was brought up in a religious Episcopalian home. Went to church every Sunday, so I'm no stranger to the Bible. My first drink was probably when I remember being younger than 10. Parents wanted us to try it to see, how we reacted to it. Didn't like it, but going to church and taking communion every Sunday, always got that little sip, of wine for communion. So, it didn't progress until things got so bad with the home and the alcoholism from my parents that I decided to join the military, and it didn't work out too well. Got discharged, and that started a 30-year pattern of drinking and drugs, and it led me into such just depravity and filth that I lost all my belongings. Like, they were destroyed. They were just anyway, which led me to the Salvation Army, which is how I basically renewed my faith in Jesus and recommitted myself. And then it's how I met Dr. Young and was introduced to Vocational Church, and I've been there since the beginning. I think this year will be, 7 years?
That's the number of completion.
So I'm very grateful that I was able to meet Dr. Young, because he's taught me the Bible in a way I've never been taught before. Really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and like someone else has shared, he's like a dad to me. My dad's passed away, and he's really been a great example, and I thank God for that, and I'm grateful to be here.
All right,
Thank
good,
you.
Thank you.